Hello, this video is about solving quadratic trinomials using the quadratic formula, which is otherwise known as the minus b formula. Just a quick word about solving and what it means when you're solving algebraic equations like this. If you're asked to solve 3x minus 9 is equal to 0, what you're trying to do is you're trying to find the value for x which satisfies the equation, the value for x which makes this true. And we have techniques to do it for simple equations like this. What we do is we would add 9 to both sides and you get 3x equals 9. And then you divide both sides by 3 and you get x equals 3. So 3 is the answer and 3 satisfies the equation. You can't use this with quadratic trinomials for the following reason. Let's have a look. If I ask you to solve x squared plus 7x plus 10 is equal to 0, it's a trinomial because it's 3 terms. It's quadratic because the x is squared. There's a squared variable in it. That makes it a quadratic. So the way we solve this is you can solve it using factors, which is one way. And you factorize 10, you get the factors of 10 which add up to 7, which are 5 and 2. So you're going to get x plus 5 and x plus 2 are factors, and they equal to 0. There's a different video for this. I don't want to focus too much on this now. I'm just really talking about solving quadratic trinomials. But when you factorize it, then you can say, well, x plus 5 is equal to 0 or x plus 2 is equal to 0. And that means x equals negative 5 or x equals negative 2. If I want to validate those numbers, these are the answers. You notice there are 2 of them to a quadratic, by the way. There's only one to this linear equation, but there are 2 solutions to this quadratic equation. If I want to validate that they are the right ones, I can put a negative 5 back into this equation to see that it works. So negative 5 to be squared, because it's an x squared here, you see, so square it, plus 7 times by negative 5 plus 10. That's going to give you 25 minus 35 plus 10, which is indeed equal to 0. So minus 5 satisfies this equation. Minus 5 is an answer. So is negative 2. So is minus 2. That's an answer as well. But not all quadratics can be factorized. You can't do this. If I give you an equation, I'll give you one in a few minutes, you can't factorize it. So you have another technique, another tool in your kit bag, if you like. You can use the minus b formula. And if an equation is written in this form here, ax squared plus bx plus c is equal to 0, okay, where a is the coefficient, the number in front of the x squared, and b is the number in front of the x, and c is a constant number, like this one here, okay, but you can't factorize it. We'll talk about that in a moment. You can use this equation here. I can say that x is equal to minus b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Okay, you'll get to know this formula quite well in time. Okay, so let's pick an equation which can't be factorized, and then let's use the minus b formula to solve it. So it says solve x squared plus 7x minus 20 equals to 0. So you look at your minus 20 and you see, can you factorize that? Numbers that multiply to give you minus 20 and add up to 7. And there's none. 1 and 20, 2 and 10, 4 and 5. There's no way, even though one of them needs to be negative because it's a negative 20, you can't make it add up to 7. So we're going to use the minus b formula. Now the first thing you do is you might try to factorize it, and if you fail, then you write down that a is equal to the number in front of the x squared. Now you don't see a number here, but I hope you know that it's a 1. B is equal to the number in front of the x, which is a 7. And c is equal to negative 20. Be careful, it's not just 20, it's negative 20. Now I know using the quadratic formula, I'll make a bit of space here. I know using the quadratic formula that x is equal to minus b, which is going to give me minus 7, plus or minus b squared, which is going to give me 7 squared. I'm going to put that inside a bracket. 7 squared minus 4 times a is equal to 1 times c is equal to negative 20. All divided by 2 times a, which is 2 times 1. Okay, so hit the fraction button first. Then b is equal to 7, so minus b is equal to minus 7, plus, now it has to be plus or minus, so there's 2 equations you're going to have to do, but you can't do a plus and a minus at the same time, so we'll do a plus first, plus the square root of b squared, which is 7, to be squared, minus 4 times a, which is 1, times minus 20, and it's all over, make sure I'm down here, 2 times 1, which is just 2. Hit enter, and so one solution is going to give me this, minus 7 plus the square root of 29 over 2. Or x is equal to, let's go back to the calculator. I just have to change this here to a minus, because that's the minus 7 minus. This is the minus version up here. So hit enter on that, and it's going to give me just the same as this, except it's a minus 129. So minus 7 minus root 129 all over 2. Now, they may ask you to leave your answer in surd form. Leave it like that. Or they may want to know, can you have it? Let's go back into our calculator and we just hit SD. So SD on this one is minus 9.18 to 2 decimal places, 9.18. So x equals minus 9.18. And if I go back to the other equation, let's find out what that one was. I just have to go back again and change that to a plus. And hit SD on this one as equal to 2.17. 2.178. So let's make it 2.18. Okay, so that is these are the answers to solving this equation here, or the solutions. Okay, here are 3. Why don't you pause the video and write down the values for A, B, and C for each one of them. Write down the values for A, B, and C, and then restart the video when that's done, and then we'll have a look to make sure you've got those right correctly, and then see if you can plug them into the calculator correctly. Okay, so pause it now. Okay, A is equal to 3, B is 7, and C is negative 8. In this one, A is equal to negative 7, B is equal to 12, and C is equal to 2. In this one, notice, it has to be written in AX squared plus BX plus C format, and this one wasn't. So I rewrote it in the red one here. So 5x squared minus 2x plus 8 equals 0. It must always equal 0. That's what makes the quadratic formula work. So A is equal to 5, B is equal to negative 2, and C is equal to 8. Now you can pause the video again and see if you can plug in these values into this equation correctly. Don't do it in the calculator first. Always put it always write it down first, and then plug it into the calculator. But show the examiner your handwritten work first. So pause the video and have a go at that. Okay, this is what you should have written down. I use brackets when I'm doing this multiplying here. I find it easier than using x's. So this is 4 negative times negative 4 times 3 times negative 8, all divided by 2 times 3. And you notice when I use a negative over here, I use brackets as well. But that's your choice. X equals plus or minus. And then over here, x equals this as well. 2 solutions for each one. So I'll do the solutions now. You're going to have an issue with this one. Okay, and the reason you're going to have a problem with this one is that this here, there are no solutions that satisfy this equation. There's no values for x which satisfy it. And so this here will give you get a math error on your calculator, because this number here is going to be a negative number. And so it's not going to work. But that's perfectly okay. That can happen as well, that there are no solutions. But let's work out. Pause the video, go put these into your calculator and see if you get the right answers. And there's the second one here. And let's do the third one to see what it looks like. Okay, I'll put in this the fraction. I'm going to go minus b. Well, b is equal to minus 2 already, by the way. So minus b is minus 2. So it's plus 2 plus the square root of b squared. Now b is equal to negative 2, so you need to put inside a bracket to be squared. Minus 4 times a, which is 5, times 8, close bracket, divided by 2 times a, which is 2 times 5, which is 10. When I hit enter on this, I'm going to get a math error. The reason I'm getting a math error is because this here under the square root is a negative number. And so it doesn't have a real solution. So that's all you just say. It probably means at your level doing junior cert, it probably means you put in an incorrect value here. So check your A, your B, and your C, and check you put them into this correctly. But this particular equation I give you doesn't have a solution. Not all quadratic equations have real solutions. Okay, I hope that helped.